Okay, so you're already doing the hard part. You either started your own business or you're working hard in your career. But every time your paycheck hits your account, you're left wondering what the smartest thing to do with it is. Should I save it? Should I invest in stocks? Should I reinvest in my business? Or should I just treat myself to something nice? There's tons of videos on YouTube that explain how to make more money, but no one really teaches you what to do with that money once it starts coming in, which is why most people end up wasting it and constantly feel the need to make more. This is the hamster wheel that a lot of people find themselves on. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the most responsible way to allocate your paychecks so that your bills are paid and your net worth continues to grow. This will guarantee that you'll be rich for a long time. Let's get into it. Here's the reality that no one talks about. Even successful people feel uncertain about money. And when we feel uncertain about something, our brains go into protection mode. We start to make decisions out of fear instead of logic. And when people are afraid, they tend to do two things with their money. One, they either hoard as much cash as possible, or two, they spend the money as soon as it comes in. Both of these decisions are made because we're afraid, either consciously or subconsciously, that we might not have as much money in the future. Both are mistakes. We fix this by taking the decision completely out of our hands. The reality is that as humans, we're very emotional by nature. And if we have to make a decision about what to do with our money every time we get some, odds are we're gonna make the wrong decision. This is because whatever stress and emotions you have going on in your life at the time of making these decisions is gonna cloud your judgment. For example, let's say next month, next paycheck comes around and you turn on the news and you see that the US and China might be going to war. And oh, by the way, the day before your dishwasher broke, and so you had to take some money out of your savings to pay for that. And your spouse's birthday is coming up, and so you really want to treat them to something nice. All of these things going on in your head at the same time are going to influence you into making decisions that may not be the smartest thing to do. So we're just going to completely take the decision out of our hands. We're going to set up a simple system that automatically sends your money exactly where it's supposed to go without you having to think about it. This will guarantee that you don't make any rash or emotional decisions that mess up your long-term wealth. Let's get into it. So to start, I'm going to zoom out and explain the framework. There are two versions of this system. One is if you have debt, and the second is if you don't have debt. If you have debt, this system is going to divide your income into 4 buckets. And if you don't have debt, this system is going to divide your income into 3 buckets. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to walk you through the 4-bucket system because most people I know that are my age in their 30s have some sort of debt. The 4 buckets are investments, savings, debt payoff, and then your expenses and your spending. And again, if you don't have any debt, that's amazing, congratulations. Just take out the debt payoff bucket, and that leaves you with 3 buckets. So now that you understand the framework, let's zoom in on the specifics. Now, I'm gonna be referring to income a lot in this video, and remember that I refer to your income as your monthly income. So even if you get paid bi-weekly or at random times throughout the month, just add it all up and come up with your monthly income number. First, let's start with the investing bucket. This bucket is all about building long-term wealth. This is the money that you're putting away now so that future you has plenty of options and freedom. The plan is to invest 25% of your monthly income every month. So if you bring home $4,000 every single month, that means that you'll be investing $1,000 every month. And I already know what you're thinking. Investing 25% of your income sounds like a lot, and it is, but you have to remember that investing is the foundation of any wealth building strategy. This bucket includes things like your retirement accounts, any taxable brokerage accounts, and any other assets that you plan on holding for a long time. Your investments should prioritize diversification, time in the market, and consistency. The biggest mistake that people make is only investing when they see that the market is doing well. This strategy doesn't maximize your long-term gains because you're always going to be buying assets at a high price. When the market is low, this is actually the ideal time to buy because you'll be buying really good assets at a discount. The strategy I recommend is dollar cost averaging into the market. Dollar cost averaging means you invest a fixed amount of money on a consistent schedule, regardless of what the market is doing. Here's how this is going to look in practice. The first step is deciding ahead of time that 25% of your income is going to be going towards investments. Next, set up automatic recurring transfers for that amount from your checking account into your investment account. This is your Vanguard, your Fidelity, your Schwab account, whatever brokerage you choose. The next step is choosing an investment vehicle within your brokerage account. I suggest starting with a Roth IRA. Personally, I think it's the best retirement account for anyone in their 20s or 30s. Then within your Roth IRA, you're gonna decide exactly how to divide that money into different investments. I think low-cost index funds are the best investment to start with. If you use Vanguard, I suggest splitting it up between these 3 low-cost index funds. One is VTSAX, the other is VFIAX, and the other is VIGAX. And that's it. So now you're buying when the market goes up, you're buying when the market goes down, and over time, your purchase price is gonna even out. Dollar cost averaging removes emotion from your investing decisions. You don't need to worry about being right with the timing, you just need to be consistent. Time and compounding will do the heavy lifting for you. I talked more about how I personally suggest people in their 30s allocate their money into investments in a previous video, so check that out if you're ready for a deeper dive on investing. Next, let's talk about the savings bucket. The plan is to save 10% of your monthly income every month. So if you bring home $4,000 every month, that means you'll be saving $400 every month. This bucket is your stability bucket. The goal here isn't growth, it's peace of mind. This bucket is for your emergency fund, cash reserves, and short-term goals. It may not seem like it now, but life is definitely gonna throw curveballs at you, especially if you're like me. In your 30s, your rent is gonna go up, you might have a kid, things are gonna break around the house, and during these times of stress and uncertainty, your savings account is gonna make sure that you can get through anything. I recommend setting up a high-yield savings account and building up 6 to 9 months of living expenses. So first you're gonna have to calculate your total monthly living expenses, then multiply that number by 6 or 9. That's gonna be your savings goal. So let's say your living expenses are $3,000 every month, you multiply that by 6, that means that $18,000 is gonna be the target savings goal that you want in your high-yield savings account. And I keep mentioning high-yield savings account. Let me just explain what that is real quick. A high-yield savings account is a federally insured savings account that pays you a much higher interest rate than traditional banks. And just to be clear, a high-yield savings account is still cash, it's still liquid, and it's still FDIC insured. The only real difference is that these accounts actually pay you a good amount of interest. Let's say you have $20,000 in savings. In a traditional savings account, you might get 0.01% interest every year, which is $2 a year. Like, $2 a year. It's not a joke, like literally $2. Now, if you put that same $20,000 in a high yield savings account with a 4% interest rate, that's $800 a year. That's a huge difference with zero extra risk and not really having to do much work. High yield savings accounts allow your cash to keep up with inflation way better than traditional banks. This means that your cash isn't losing as much value over time. The nice things about high yield savings accounts is that you can also set up monthly recurring transfers just like we did for your investments. That way you can set aside 10% of your income every single month without having to think about it. Next, let's talk about the debt payoff bucket. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm assuming that you're already making the minimum payments towards your loans every month. Things like credit cards, student loans, or anything that has interest that's working against you. We'll include those minimum monthly payments towards your debt into your monthly expenses. The plan here is to direct 15% of your monthly income towards accelerating your debt payoff. So just to keep up with our example, if you're bringing home $4,000 every month, that means that $600 of your monthly income is going to be going towards attacking that debt. Now, this may sound very aggressive to dedicate 15% of your monthly income towards paying off debt, but honestly, that's because it is. Debt is a serious financial emergency that we want to get rid of as soon as possible. You know how compounding grows your investment returns over time? Well, debt is kind of like the evil twin of that. It basically compounds negative returns over time. And I want this to be very clear. It is impossible, literally impossible, to achieve long-term wealth when you have debt pulling you harder in the opposite direction. So this bucket is dedicated towards paying down that debt as quickly as possible. A lot of finance people on YouTube don't really talk about debt in the same way they talk about investing or savings, but honestly, I think debt deserves a clear, intentional place in your personal finance system. It's not something that you want to just randomly chip away at when you remember that it's there. You want to have a clear plan for how you're going to attack this. So to start, list out all the debts that you have. Let's just say that you have a student loan payment and some credit card debt. That's 2. Next, you're going to want to find the interest rate for each of those debts. Usually, if you look at the monthly statements, you'll find the interest rate on there. Let's say your student loans have a 6.6% interest rate and your credit card debt has an 11% interest rate. We're going to attack the highest interest debt first. In this case, it's the credit card. So on top of your regular minimum monthly payment towards a loan, you're going to direct 15% of your monthly income towards the principal of the loan. The principal is just the original amount of money that you borrowed. So if you borrowed $40,000, your principal is $40,000. Interest is what the lender charges you for borrowing that money. Now here's the crazy part that most people don't realize. When you make the minimum payments on any loan, most of that payment, pretty much all of it, goes towards the interest, not your principal, especially early on. This means that you could be making the minimum monthly payments on the loan for years without actually seeing the balance go down that much. And this is why your debt number might seem so high, even though you've been doing well and paying off the loan every month. Now here's why directing 15% of your monthly income towards extra principal payments every single month is a game changer. When you make an extra payment towards the principal, you're directly reducing the balance of the loan. And when the principal goes down, the amount of interest charged to you in the future also goes down. This creates a compounding effect, but now it's in your favor. Every dollar put towards the principal of the loan reduces the loan balance, reduces future interest, and decreases the life of the loan. I actually paid off $135,000 of student loan debt using this strategy and a few others that I'll talk about in a future video. Now, if you don't have any debt, congratulations, you're doing amazing. I think you should direct this 15% and split it up between your savings bucket and your expenses and spending bucket. For example, I'd do something like adding an extra 10% to the savings bucket and an extra 5% to the spending and expenses bucket. Next, let's talk about the expenses and spending bucket. The plan is to dedicate 50% of your monthly income towards your expenses and your guilt-free spending. So if you bring home $4,000 every month, that means that $2,000 of your monthly income is going to be going towards this. When it comes to expenses, these are your non-negotiables, things like housing, food, transportation, insurance, all that type of stuff. These are the expenses that are required to keep your life running. This bucket is important because it creates structure. You'd be surprised at how many people don't know what their monthly expenses are. When your expenses are clearly defined, you're not constantly wondering about what you can and can't afford, and that removes a huge amount of mental stress from money. The goal of this bucket is predictability. I highly recommend you know this number off the top of your head. Everyone should know what their monthly expenses are. So just take a moment and look through your bank statements, your credit card statements, and add up all of your monthly living expenses. Now let's talk about arguably the most important place that your money goes every month, your guilt-free spending. This part of the bucket exists simply so that you can enjoy the money that you work so hard for. This is for traveling, hobbies, eating out, all the things that make life worth living. The key word here is guilt-free. If the money is in this part of the bucket, you're allowed to spend it. No shame, no second guessing, buy yourself something fun, buy yourself something stupid. I don't care, just have fun with it. When people are too restrictive and don't give themselves permission to spend their money, they either burn out or they end up binge spending on stupid stuff. This part of the bucket prevents both, so go enjoy your money. Now that you have a really good plan for dividing your paycheck, you might want to learn more about specific wealth building investments, which I talk a lot about in this video.